Hello, and welcome to Your Brand Express podcast, the podcast where business owners, authors, coaches get a chance to articulate their processes and how they express their brands. With your hosts, Carl and CJ Alleyne. Get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and get a notepad and enjoy the ride. All right, everyone, we are hanging out with the lovely, amazing, the queen, Shaumba-Yandje Dibinga from OrigiNation and ShapeUp with Shaumba. How are you today, my friend?
I am fabulous. Thank you for asking. How are you, both of you?
I'm doing well.
We're doing great.
Awesome.
You know, beautiful weather today.
Yes.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yes.
In Massachusetts, you don't see that often, so.
I know.
Well.
Change your outfit 3 times.
Right. Well, hey, at least we didn't get a heavy snowstorm yet. Oh, I just pretend I didn't say that. Okay.
Yeah, please. We're doing really well so far. So far, so good.
We are doing well. And, you know, I'm so excited. I had to hold myself back a little bit. Like, when we were just talking before we started, I just wanted to ask you a whole bunch of questions because I know we go way back. And I'm pretty sure we go even further back than I'm thinking. I'm thinking 2002 when we performed with Adrian Hawkins.
Oh,
at,
wow.
The Fleet Center. What was it called back then?
It was it the Fleet Center? I think it was the Fleet Center.
Whatever it's called back then.
It had to be before that because my son was born in 2002, but I've known you since prior to that. So definitely before that.
Right.
CJ, don't try to do the math or anything like that. Yes, it was
sorry,
way
CJ.
back.
And I'm pretty sure right. And I'm pretty sure we go back even to the early 90s too. If we talk more, we're like, we make some connections. I'm pretty sure.
I agree. I do.
So this is juicy. Woohoo! So CJ has a question for you. Could you start us off, my friend?
I'll start off with the first question. I want you to tell us a little bit about, organization and ShapeUp, like what you do and everything.
Oh, wow. I'll try to be brief because I can go all day and talk about both of them. So OrigiNation Cultural Arts Center was founded about 30 years ago. So I started it way back when. And it's an organization that utilizes dance as a tool to empower young people, one dancer at a time. So we do everything from, we have 4 youth companies in the studio. We have a dance institute, so for ages 2 through adult. We have a Taekwondo department where my brother, Ngolela Dibinga, is the Don. He is the head of our Taekwondo department. And we also do theater productions here at OrigiNation Cultural Arts Center. We also teach young people how to teach. So they start off as assistant teachers and eventually they're teaching their own classes. We help young people learn how to use their voices and stand up to bullies or, be able to have conversations at home and at school. So we do a wide range of things from helping them get headshots to resumes, helping them find jobs, helping them understand that their voice is powerful. And we do everything and anything in our power to help them become the best versions of themselves possible. So that even includes taking them outside of, the country. We've taken them to places like Senegal and Ghana and London so they can do community service and perform and understand there's more to their life than just what's here in Boston and in New England. And then with ShapeUp, ShapeUp with Shaumba, I started that around 2011, and it was initially to fight childhood obesity, but then I realized if I'm working with the children, they're going back home and their parents are like, well, let's go to Wendy's. And they're like, well, we didn't just learn that today. Can we go to the supermarket and check the ingredients? And, so I had to, stretch it. And now I work with youth and families to help them understand the importance of taking care of their bodies, their mind, their spirit, their soul, and that what you put in is what you put out. So I had to make sure I was connecting them both. So I do wellness classes for adults and young people. I organize retreats. I go to schools and do conversations regarding health and wellness and their mental health. So ShapeUp with Shaumba and OrigiNation kind of go hand in hand, even though they're separate entities. But it's all about health, and it's all about helping people really understand how dope they are, and that it's important to pay attention to what you're putting in your body and what you're doing to keep your body in the best shape possible. So that's what we do at, ShapeUp with Shaumba and OrigiNation.
And okay, now don't be shy. Now you've also written a book, right?
Yes, I did.
You better tell us about that now.
I wrote a book it's a poetry book called Pride of My Stride. And I wrote it a few years back. I'm actually working on a second book. So hopefully, that's it's going really well thus far. But Pride in My Stride was created because growing up, I was bullied a lot. My siblings and I, we were picked on. Man, I can tell you the stories and a lot of people can tell stories about that, but we were picked on a great deal. And I kind of took a lot of that and put it into poetry. And so a lot of young people and adults actually use the poems from my book when they're doing presentations at school or when they want to write about something, or if they want some self-affirmations. Everything happened to us from, being chased home from school, from having rocks thrown at my mom when she was waiting on the porch for us to come, home. One of my brothers was shot in the eye with BB guns. We had police escorts to and from school, and it was because we're African and because we were smart. Like, we didn't go to school to figure out how many friends we could make and, be the teacher's pet or anything like that. We went to school to go to school. And if we got a friend or two, that was wonderful. But a lot of people didn't like that. And that was white people and Black people. So I kind of put all of that in a book, and I love it. And it's a great opportunity for young people and adults to learn how to read. So they use that book for so many different things. And what I like to tell young people when they're talking about, well, what would you do to your bullies if you saw them now? Some of those bullies I'm teaching their children. And so I could have been that person that was like, oh yeah, you picked on me when we were younger. I'm not going to work with your child, but I didn't do that. And so, now they're paying me to work with their young people, but I embrace them like they're my own children. So that's where Pride in My Stride came from.
Oof. Wow. And also, with what you do, I mean, reading some of the website too, I've read that you also go into corporations. So you show people how dope they are, which is so important. And it seems like you're so intentional about it, from someone's confidence, right, to someone's health and well-being, someone's mental state. It's when I think about the business world, some, people focus on niching down and things like that. All that stuff is important, but with what you all do, it's like you focus on the whole being. And in my opinion, that's one of the things that's missing in our society. How can you focus on the whole being and help the whole being to develop? Because we're simple, but we're also complicated.
Yes.
There's so many nuances to our living and our being. So when I read up about OrigiNation and ShapeUp with Shaumba, I'm like, wow, those are some powerful things that you're doing. And then also you talked about, I read too, it talks about celebrating Black history and how it's done all year.
Yes. It's important. You have to. We celebrate Black history 365 days of the year. So for example, this Friday and Saturday, we're presenting Our Story. It's a celebration of the African and African-American experience through the arts. And so Friday, we have 1,300 young people coming to the Strand to learn about Black history. And it's important for us because if you ask any of the young people and adults that are in Our Story, some of them have done it with me for 10, 15, 20 years. And they keep coming back because they say they learn more in Our Story than they do 365 days of the year and in their schools, because they took African history, Black history out of schools. And so if you're going to have all of this other history studied, you can't just rip, Black history out of the schools, because without Black history, there'd be no history. So we're intentional about doing it 365 days of the year through our poetry, through our workshops, through our performances. It's important. And our young people, they eat it up. They go to school and, some of them will come back and say, Mr. Dibinga, I corrected, I was nice about it, but I corrected my teacher because she didn't have her facts correct on a specific part of Black history. And so it makes me feel so good that what we're doing in here transcends, and our young people, they stand firm in their knowledge and they love it, and they can just spit it out word for word for word and have facts. So we have to do it. We have to, because why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not do it? Right. So yeah, we are 365, 7 days a week.
Whew. I tell you, I got a special request. Can you do a third book?
Yes.
On a third book on how you do what you do with because there's that the whole being thing. That's powerful. And there's the next thing is the importance of it, the importance of impacting your community. That's just that's a personal request from me. That's a side note.
You got it. I got you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then so everything you're saying, I think about the word legacy, because legacy is so important. And in the business world, a lot of our community, they're coaches, they're authors, they're podcasters, they're public speakers. Yeah, they're service providers. And one thing we try to promote is leaving a legacy, because a lot of people focus on the numbers, and numbers are important. I'll keep it real. The numbers are important, but the thing of purpose and why you're here and leaving a legacy and the impact that it makes on people 10 years from now. And even hearing what you said with some of your students and how they've been with the program for more than 10 years, that resonates so much, because it's so important. It's not just a here and there thing or a high and buy thing. It's a now and in the future, and leave a legacy. And how can you be a leader? You know, so that's my special request. 2 books right there. You know,
you got it. You got it. You got it.
You know, so when I think about the word legacy, like, what motivated you to get involved with leaving a legacy in your community?
My parents. So my dad passed almost 2 years ago, and they are immigrants from the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. And so I'm a Congolese-American, and my parents came here, you know, like everybody else, for education and all of that, but they actually fled Congo because my dad's life was in danger. And it had they stayed, we wouldn't be here. And that's just, it faced my parents and my oldest brother's sister. When you look at in the movies, right, you see those films where people are running across the field to jump under a plane to flee their country. That was my mother, my father, my brother, and my sister. They ran across the field to get into a plane to take them away out of Congo. And while they were running, they were being shot at. So it's like, if they didn't take that chance and people didn't take a chance on them, I wouldn't be here. And so when I think of the things my parents saw when they journeyed to flee Congo, you know, staying in the refugee camps, traveling through the refugee camps, the images and the things they experienced and saw, you know, and then coming here and looking at all of their children, and where none of us are in jail, none of us are doing, we're doing everything we should be doing, you know? And it's like, they just really instilled in us power, and the power of our voice, and the power to stand up for things that we believe people need to stand up for. They instilled education. They didn't hit us over the head with it, but we knew you better get your homework done. You better get some good grades. Like, they were educators. My parents, you know, between them have over 8 degrees and speak over 12 languages, you know, but they were very invested in giving back. I mean, growing up, we had so many different people living in our homes because they were bringing people from the Congo and from different places. So watching them give back and not look for a check in return, not look for a gift in return. Initially, I didn't want to do that. I was like, they're not getting paid to do this. They're not even getting a gift. I don't want to do that. But then I realized, my dad used to say, and my mom, when you give to people, right? If one person that you gave to in turn gives back to someone else, then you did your job. And so the young people, the people that I work with, I have a young lady that started with me when she was 7. She's now in her 30s, and she's in our story this weekend. So she's still a part of OrigiNation in so many different ways. And so my parents have definitely, you know, just gave me that bug, and watching them go through all of the things they've gone through in their journey on this earth just made me want to do it without a second thought. So it's not about the money. It's not about the numbers. I love when someone in college says, Mr. Dibinga, that affirmation that we used to do at the dance studio when I was 10, I just gave that to one of my groups over here in college, and they're all talking about it. And so the things we do here, our young people and our alumni tell us what it does for us. So I don't walk around and say, oh, they're that way because of me. No, I don't do that. I do what I do because I love it, and I'm passionate about it, and it's who I am. It's like my cloth. It's like, that's the fabric. I'm made up that way. And so watching my parents give back, and, you know, I just have some really dope siblings, you know, and people in my circle that just, make me want to continue to do this more and more and more. So the legacy I leave is with so many people, you know, adults and young people, you know, and you can't ask for more than, you know, when you're no longer here, someone remembering how you made them feel. Do you know what I mean? You know, not so much, oh, she did this for me, she did that for me. That's all and great, but she made me feel like I was worth it. I made them feel like they were important, because that matters. It truly matters.
I love that. How you, what's that quote that goes, it's not a, you know, they don't remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of that. And
Yes.
it's such a missing thing nowadays, but it's so important.
It is.
So
that
resonates so much. Thank you for that. Whew.
Amazing.
No problem.
I think, yeah, just remembering your why is like super important. I feel like sometimes you can forget why you started, or, you know, why you're doing what you do, because of like things that happen with ups and downs. I was reading about this thing. It's like sometimes you can let life dictate you, or if you can let control you so much that you forget why you do what you do. But if you can remember the core values and like why you're actually doing, you know, like that's deeper than what you do. Like it's bigger than your what you do. It's, you know, you're trying to impact people, you're trying to inspire and, you know, leave a legacy, and that's very important. Appreciate you sharing that with us.
Oh, no problem. And thank you for that. I appreciate what you just said. It's absolutely true. 100%. Thank you.
Of course.
Wow.
I'll even go on to the next question. How have you seen coaches make an impact, you know, in their respective communities?
Coaches are parents. You know, coaches wear so many different hats, and that's the soccer coach, the tennis coach, the speaking coach, the music coach. Coaches wear so many hats, from being a coach to being a mentor, to being a mom, a dad, an aunt, a friend, an uncle. They wear so many hats. And from the coaches that I have that are my friends to coaches I've had in my life, coaches, a really great coach follows you for the rest of your life. A really great coach is someone you can text, you can pick up the phone and call to let them know, I just got married, I just had a baby, I just got a scholarship. Those are people that, you know, you keep in your pocket and you let them know how you're doing all the time, through the challenges and through the accomplishments. Coaches, and I feel like sometimes coaches don't get enough praise. You know, I honestly do. I think that there are some that do, but there are a lot that don't. And coaches, when you're done with school, you're done with your coach 4 hours on a Monday, 4 hours on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sometimes on a Saturday, sometimes on a Sunday, and a lot of times more than their parents or guardians are. So I think that as coaches, you know, some of us don't get the accolades, but from the adults, from those kind of people, but the young people that we serve will keep coming back and keep coming back. And they will do whatever they can possibly do, to make you feel good and show them that you really want to be a part of whatever it is they're doing, but because you instilled something in them. Coaches instill life lessons in the people they work with. They're no joke. And I can remember every single coach I had. I can remember my mock trial coach. My mock trial coach gave me my first radio for OrigiNation Cultural Arts Center when I first started, you know, and he was very invested in everything I did. To this day, I can reach out to Mr. Howland and say, Mr. Howland, we have this coming up. Do you want to come by? Mr. Howland, we have this show coming up. Mr. Howland, I just wanted to say thank you and check on you and see how you're doing. But your coaches they're like parents, you know, and yeah, I'm a coach and I love coaches. I think that what coaches do is it's unmatched.
Right.
Okay, that's request for book number 5, How to Be a Great Coach. I'm just putting it out there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking mental notes.
Cool. Ideas on the shelf.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my.
That's real. I feel like coaches are really important. Like, I don't know. I don't call it. I have people I can consider a coach in my mind. I don't call them a coach. I look at them, like you said, kind of like a friend, like someone that is here for you. Like, got this guy up there, my dad. He's a coach to me. guided me. And there's a lot of people I can think of in that idea too. But I just love what you said. Just a coach is someone that can guide you, but it's also someone that you can reach out to, check up on, and be here for, because they're here for you and invested in you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. When you're in listening to you, there was something I saw on Instagram. There is a coach over at, I believe it's English High School, and they had a basketball game, and he got a phone call while he was on the bench, and they were calling to tell him that someone in his family passed away. And I can't recall who it was, but I know it was somebody important, and I don't want to, make the wrong claim. But the members of the basketball team noticed that his whole face changed and that he was really emotional. And so obviously they wanted to know what was going on with him, but they also knew they had a game to play. So obviously they played that game, but during that time they were doing the check-ins with him. And after that, it was like he just gained all these sons, from going to the services to just doing so many things to support him. That's a testament of, what he was doing with those young men, and the bond they have is unmatched. And so you warm my entire heart when you just said that about your dad, because those relationships, and that I saw the light when you spoke about your dad being your friend, and the light in your dad when you said that. And that's such a powerful thing. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all better not make me cry. Come on now. Oh, so deep. Oh, Yandje, you're going deep today. Woo!
Oh, man.
Listen, y'all better press the pause or press the stop button and go back to the beginning and listen again, because this is some deep, deep value, y'all. Oof. Yandje, what advice would you offer to coaches looking to break through barriers, like any kind of barriers, in order to serve the people they serve, with a powerful mentality and an attitude? Because it gets hard. It's like you mentioned earlier.
It does. It really does. I like to say, don't take no for an answer. So if you're trying to take your young people to Connecticut and you need money for a bus, and the school's like, well, we don't have the money, so you're just not going to be able to go, find that money. There are people that will give you the money to get a bus to take your young people to Connecticut. There are ways that you can raise the money to take your young people to Connecticut. If you ask the people that I work with at OrigiNation, you ask my executive director, I don't take no for an answer. When in 2009, I think it was, I was like, I want to take the dancers to South Africa. They were like, what? I said, I want to take them to South Africa. I think it's time for us to, take them outside of this box so they can see the world and they can see how dope Africa is. And so, because they've been hearing, Africa's just a jungle, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, so we need to take them to Africa. And she was like, I don't think so. And what did we do? We went to South Africa. And it was a life-changing experience for our young people. And so if I took that no, then we wouldn't be on maybe our 10th or 11th youth empowerment tour outside of, New England. And so don't take no for an answer. Coach with your whole heart. Coach with your whole heart. Young people can smell from a mile away people that are not truthful, that are not authentic, and that aren't really there with their whole heart. You have to be passionate about what you're doing, and that will allow you to really open up and do the things you want to do with your young people. That is so important. And be honest. Be honest about everything. If you're having a really tough day, you don't have to break down and tell them everything that's going on, because they can probably feel it, but be honest about that. I have a migraine today, everybody. So if we could just keep the noise down, be honest with them. That's really important, and be fair. You shouldn't be treating one person on your team better than you treat the other person on the team. You have to be fair, because that doesn't benefit anyone, and it makes them, it makes that person feel like they're not worth it. So you have to do. I like to offer that advice to people when they're asking, because I just think it makes things go so much better, and it makes people feel good. Not only you, but it makes the people you're serving feel incredible.
I love those principles. I look at them as principles that you mentioned, being honest and coaching with your whole heart and not showing favoritism.
Yes.
That's, I think about one thing I've been thinking about recently is being at your fullest potential. You know, and whatever you do, make sure you're at your fullest potential, because we live in a society where we can give we're the way we're created, you know, we're blessed, we're like I mentioned, we're simple, but we're complex. And so we're amazing beings. You know, I believe that God blessed us to be amazing beings. And it's so easy to not be at our fullest potential. And even in the average eye, oh wow, that dude, that person, that man, that woman's giving a lot. They're doing this and do that. But to go deep and say, make sure you coach with your whole heart and your wholeheartedly, and you give everything. And then even what you mentioned earlier, you know, just the way you make the people that you're coaching, your mentees, the way they feel and how they carry it with them for the rest of their lives, actually, right?
Yes.
You know, I find
it's not always pretty. It's not always pretty. Do you know?
Facts.
You sometimes the conversations you have to have are tough. Sometimes you have to give that young person a break until they can get their grades right, or they can, you know, get their mind right. Sometimes you have to have those tough conversations, but you're leading with your heart. You have to.
And so when you have to have those tough conversations, like is there, what goes through your mind when you have to have those tough conversations, just to help out the coaches in our audience, you know?
I don't like having those conversations, because I honestly like to be, people are always like, is she always happy? No one's ever always happy, but I choose happiness over everything else, you know. And if I'm going to be upset about something, it has to be like this, and then I need to keep it moving, because that takes up too much energy, and I don't want to give out that. I want to keep my positive energy and my positive vibe as I walk through life. But, you know, having those conversations, I never like to have those conversations, but, you know, I do it. I try to organize my thought and take a couple of breaths so that I'm engaging in the conversation where the person I'm speaking with understands that I'm doing this because I love them. And I always say, I love you, but, you know, this can't happen. You know, I just got your report card because I check report cards, and it's not matching up. And, you know, if you want to participate in this program, your report card needs to reflect something different. A's and B's get your scholarships. So C's and D's, they get your student loans. And I want you to be able to go to college or whatever program you're going to when you finish high school, and not have to leave there and have to, you know, give somebody all your money, you know. But it's like having those conversations where you're going to have to take a break. I try to get them to understand where I'm coming from, but then get them to tell me why we're having this conversation, because it can't just be me talking at them. It needs to be, you know, a back and forth. So I try to make sure, and I do my best to make sure it's a two-way conversation. You know, why do you think we're having this conversation? Well, Mr. Dibinga, it's because, and then we go from there, you know. But they're not easy conversations to have, but they have to happen. And sometimes the parents or guardians will send me a message and say, can you have a conversation with such and such? I keep telling them to clean their room, and it's just really a mess, but they want to be on their phones. And so then I have that conversation, and I'm like, send me a picture of your room. I want to see your room clean, the closet too. And I get pictures. So I think my name in some spaces is like if you don't do this, I'm telling Mr. Dibinga, okay, don't. And it's not like I'm in here cracking a whip, but we have to work hand in hand. You know, you can't just, your parents are paying for you to do a service, right? And for me, I go above and beyond. It's not about the pay, because I can do 8 hours and then be done. No, it's not about that. It's about the whole child. So I'm very invested in my young people. I go to parent-teacher conferences. If a parent or guardian can attend, I go and I stay on top of that child, because if they need the help, somebody needs to be there to help them. Do you know what I mean? Some parents work a lot, and they have to work a lot. And so if they need the help, then if I can't do it, I'm going to find somebody that can do it.
Ooh. In other words, you take, as we used to say back in the 90s, you take no shorts.
That's right.
You take no, I haven't heard that in a while.
That's right.
They be saying that nowadays. Like,
they say that nowadays?
It's different though.
It's different.
I say, you know, we try to put spin on stuff you guys say. I'll admit it.
Thanks for admitting that. Thank
you.
Yeah, it's different now then. It's a whole different term then. But I get it.
Right?
And thanks for explaining your process, because with coaches, you know, whether you're coaching youth or whether you're coaching adults too, in any specific field or niche or whatever you want to call it, it gets hard. And then when it gets hard, things get scrambled. You got your own personal life. You got things going on with your own family, and then we're talking about one person. You sometimes, depending on what coach you are, you're dealing with a whole bunch of youth or adults or what have you with their whole set of challenges. And so for you to talk about your process is super helpful. So coaches, if you're listening, press the stop button, rewind, play it again. Play it again. CJ, you got a next question?
I got another question. What challenges have you seen, like, with coaches and people that do service, like, as far as leaving a legacy? Like, there's always roadblocks, but, like, what would you say, like, challenges that you've seen, maybe in your perspective, that they face? Yeah.
I think for some coaches, funding, if they're looking for funding for their program and they're having a hard time getting it, so they're getting a lot of rejections from trying to find funding, or they don't know where to find the funding to do the things they want to do for the people they serve. That's a big, big challenge. And I just have to say, don't give up, because it's there and it will happen. You just have to keep moving forward. You also get challenged by parents, parents and guardians, who do you think you are? And just because you're telling my child that you want them to go to bed by 8 and turn off the TV doesn't mean I really need to have them do that. And so that's a challenge when you're saying one thing and they're going home and their parents and guardians are allowing them to do the complete opposite. That's a challenge in itself. And that's when you have to have those hard conversations with the parents or guardians, that if your child's going to participate in this program, there are rules that we all have to follow, all of us, in order for this to be able to work. And so that is a really big challenge. And when I first started OrigiNation, I looked really, really young, right? So it was always, well, how old is she? Are you sure you're capable of doing this? Because I used to teach about 7 classes on my own when we started OrigiNation, did all the choreography, the shows, everything. But that was what I would always get. How old are you? How long have you been doing this? And so that was a challenge. Sometimes it still is, depending on the space I'm in. So I try to dress up. Sometimes it works. And sometimes it's like, excuse me, do you have a hall pass? And I'm like, what? So, that can pose a challenge, but parents and guardians, sometimes it's a tug of war, right? But if you're invested, you won't give up easily. You won't. And I find that between funding and dealing with parents and guardians, it could be a struggle. And some people may not want that because it could just be a headache after a headache. But if you know the child really, really needs this and yearns for it, you're going to figure out a way to break through that parents or guardians, mindset and get everyone to be on the same page. But those are 2 really big challenges.
I love when you said you got to be invested, because when I think about pursuing greatness and being the best you can be, I look for things that I love momentum.
Yeah.
So when you have, like CJ mentioned before, you have your why. And you think about your why and you think about, well, I want to be invested because this is necessary. And everyone has their own story and everyone can find their why. It might be hard to find a why, but it may take even you getting some guidance, finding your why, which is okay.
Absolutely.
But but once you understand your why, you're invested. And it's so important to be invested with what we're doing to help people to work. I'm a coach too. CJ's a coach. So it's important for us to be invested and know our why, and then we're able to help and support. We could do it before we know our why, but once we know our why, and it could be a journey, we might, in understanding our why and being invested, it's okay that if it keeps, I'm not sure if that's how it is for you, but I know for me, it's like, it keeps developing. And then I change it and I update it and I upgrade it.
That's right.
Which is a good journey, actually. Sometimes it's not fun, sometimes it's painful. But when you know your why and you're invested, man, you make impact.
That's right. You do. Oh, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Woo. What strategies can coaches use to motivate people to be bold and show up as their best selves?
You have to show up as your best self. You have to show up as your best self. And I try my best to do that every single time. And it can be difficult, especially if you're facing challenges in your own life, right? but
Right.
you have to show up as your best self and give that energy. If you can give that energy and throw that love out of you to the people that you serve, you're
Right.
good. You know, that's so important. Like, you have to show up and be ready, be authentic, be energized, you know, and be ready to just give it. Because if you walk in, and I'll give an example to one of our little ones. If you walk in and you have no energy and you are exhausted, those children will run you into the ground. They will. And you know, that's just what they do. So you have to, for our 2 and 3-year-olds, you have to match their energy. Your energy has to be here. You cannot come in with your energy down here. But your energy is important because they can feel it and see it. And so that's important. You have to give it so that you can get it back.
Show up as your best self. Ooh.
Important.
It's interesting. Go ahead, CJ.
No, I was gonna say, like, that's so important, because like showing up as your best self doesn't just come from being at your best spot, like physically. Like, it comes from physically, mentally, spiritually. There's so many things that tie into that, and I feel like, I don't know, this is so important, because sometimes in our days, like, let's say like you're a person that goes to the gym or something, right? And you miss that one workout, for instance, but you got everything else. It could be so hard to show up as your best self when you know, you miss that one thing you were going for, if that makes sense. So I think it's important to try to get as much as you can to better yourself, so that you can pour out to what you have to other people.
That well said, and you're spot on. Absolutely. How old are you?
19.
Okay, yes, spot on. This guy, my gosh. Yes, I see why you're a coach. I do. I really do. You are one impressive young man. You really, really are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's my guy.
Yes,
of course, I gotta say that as a dad. That's my boy. That's my young man right there.
I love it.
Oh, that is so rich right there, Yandje. I mean, my wife, you know, it's funny, we had a discussion because I thought there's an expression that I thought I made up, but I really didn't make it up. She made it up. It's called swazo. Actually, where's my shirt? I don't have my shirt. I gotta get my shirt. I'll show you.
You made that.
I thought I did too, and she reminded me. I was like, "Oh shoot!" I guess you know. I was like, "Oh," because what happened was, it's called the. I'll say it first. The acronym is SWAZO, right? And SWAZO means show up and show out.
Oh,
and not that you're trying to show off, but you're trying to show up as your best self and show out, going all.
I love that.
So what happened was, last weekend at my dance class, I wore the shirt, and Teresa's like, "Wait a minute, you didn't get me a shirt." I was like, "Well, you missed the boat, my friend." But she was like, I was like, "Well, it's a quote that I made up." She's like, "No, I made that up." I was like, "What are you talking about?" But she made it up. I had to be humble and remember, because I forgot senior moment. She made it.
That's right.
So,
did she get the shirt?
I gotta get her a shirt. I just told her that today. Gotta get you a shirt.
Yeah, get on top
Actually,
of that.
a couple of hours ago. So but yeah, showing up and showing out is so important. And one thing I recognize, even with coaching people and doing research, is that the more we show up and show out, the more confidence we have. Because we're doing what we're created to do.
That's right.
We're giving our very best. There's no question we could ask, "Hey, did I give my very best?" Yes, I did. It may not have felt like it was my best, because some days we feel that way. But if we look back and take a look and say, I did give my whole heart right there. May not have, things may not have ended up how I wanted them to, but I gave my best. Okay, therefore, it helps me to be confident. It helps me to have peace, So, when you said show up, I mean, it sounds simple to people, but that's 90% right there.
It is. It really, really is. It is, man. Like, we're working on this show this week, and it's exhausting. So I wrote it, produced it, directed, and it's exhausting. So by the time I get home, it's like 10 o'clock at night, but I'm up, till 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, just trying to fine tune things. So I'm going to rehearsal today. I can't go in there and be dragging, because the kids are going to be like, "Oh yeah, she's no. I need to go in there, high energy. Let's get this party started, because that's what I want them to give back to me. So yeah, you're spot on. That's right.
Oof.
Right.
So Yandje, our last question is where, you talked about a lot of incredible things today. And again, listen to this episode again, guys, because this is a lot of value. This is the stuff I think about that deals with the core of our very being, who we are. It helps us to resonate, or it helps us to what we talked about today resonates with our very being, showing up, having integrity, pouring our whole selves out, giving our whole hearts to the people that we're mentoring, and we're serving. At the end of the day, we're serving.
That's right. That's right.
All this is service, and we need it, because when it comes to leaving a legacy, right, how we show up now is important to how other people will show up and show out. I'm saying
right.
Swazo now.
That's right. Yeah, there it is.
There it is. Whoop, there it is. So guys, listen to this again. This was a powerful episode. Where can we find you if we were to look online? Because we have people, Australia, South Africa, different parts of the world. So I want, because you all have an online presence as well.
Yes. So we are on Instagram. We're OrigiNation Arts on Instagram, and I am ShapeUp Shaumba on Instagram. Our website for OrigiNation is www.originationinc.org. And for my Shape Up with Shaumba, it's www.shapeupwithshaumba.com. Thank you very much for asking that. I appreciate that so much.
Absolutely. I mean, you have such great value. And, I love running into individuals like you, because at first someone could look and say, wow, they're doing different things. What is the main thing you do? Or the main thing, and we're all different. Yes. I love it when I see people doing different things, and in all those areas you're making an impact. And I think about that word legacy. You're leaving a legacy. You've already left a legacy. You have people helping you out right now who were kids.
That's right.
And even talking about the whole thing with bullies and how you're serving their kids now.
Yes.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Oh, book number 6. Book number 6, by the way. I just had to say that. I can't help it. I have to say it.
I got it,
Yandje, thank you so much for joining us. This was such a rich episode, and we look forward to people hearing this.
Thank you. I thank you for having me. You two are some dynamic Black men, and I can't thank you enough for allowing me to have this conversation with you. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to it. I'm so happy to be here. So thank you for all you do, and keep going. Keep going.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. There you have it.
We hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you would be so kind, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're listening to any of our platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one, please be so kind to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. And we'll talk to you soon.